Really, really cool stuff. Get your mouse pointer off the screen, man. What are
Sorry,
you doing here?
sorry. I
What
was
type of production is that? Just
gonna
kidding.
draw something.
Welcome to AsArt.space.
Hold on to your butts.
Welcome back to AsArt with Nick and John. Today we're gonna break down a visual effects scene from His Dark Materials. All right, John.
Yes.
Here we go. A long-awaited His Dark Material.
So Nick has seen some of the making of, so he knows a little bit more about this, but we're still going to look at it and try and break it down, maybe different ways that they could have done it. And then also Nick will fill me and, of course, if you guys don't know as well, in on how they actually did do it. So Nick, you want to go and start us off?
So yes, this is going to be a very, very heavy 3D scene. But before we jump into this, I wanted to talk about how I thought it was really cool that they use puppets for placeholders, because one, it can help with lighting, it can help with the actors, and it almost gives the animators like a slight where to put the character and how to move and stuff like that. And one thing that I thought was super cool about the fight sequences, I believed like the animators acted out a fight first, like they fought each other, and then that was the basis for the animation for the key poses, and then the animators went from there. So I thought it was really cool.
Well, one of my favorite things about the whole use of the puppets is the usefulness of that to the actors. And really that kind of goes back. I mean, they've been using like ping pong balls for eye line, alignment and things like that since like Forrest Gump and Jurassic Park. And they would have little cardboard things of a Tyrannosaurus Rex head they would hold up that's basically on poster board to try and get lighting information. But as far as interaction with the actors and actresses, you could always kind of tell they were just staring off into space. So they actually had puppeteers that were professionals of what they were doing. To have that interaction really, really helps a lot. And I think a lot of that credit goes to Lord of the Rings and Andy Serkis doing Smeagol, because at first they thought he wasn't really important to be there, and then they found out, he's invaluable. So anyway.
Ooh, you know what's so funny? I just had an interesting question. Do you know if they did something like that for Dobby for the Harry Potter films?
That's a good question.
Because there's a big difference between the two, I feel like.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah.
Anyway,
that's a good question.
That's going to be a fun one for me to research, and maybe we'll do a video about it. Who was better, Dobby or Smeagol? But one thing I really like was the weight, because like you can see like how the weight shifts with the animation and all that. And this is, I think most of this is hand animated too. Because
because I mean you can't really motion capture this, right? Yeah,
I think that's what's so cool, because like if we go back here, it's so cool because like first the weight's over here, right? And then you could totally just look at the weight being shifted just with the step. Like how cool is that?
And all the muscularity. I mean, it's not just the model and the fur. They have all the muscle systems underneath. I mean, there's a lot going on.
Look at that jiggle. Oh, that really helps with the weight. Huh? So all this right here, I believe this is all like getting the main key poses from like actors fighting each other.
Really? That's so interesting. I mean, well, so I'm going back to Lord of the Rings just because I know they would use Andy Serkis, and obviously this is quadruped versus bipedal people, but they would have Andy Serkis kind of fighting Frodo and Sam in certain scenes, and then they would kind of, obviously, to give more dexterity to Gollum, they would change the movements. They would keep the movements of the main character, but then they would adjust it. But at least here, there's two CG animals, so they can adjust it if they need to, I guess.
Yeah. Look at that. Look how cool this is. Like going.
But the weight
frame
is
by
so
frame.
cool.
Yeah. Look at the weight, and then look at he kicks his leg out from underneath him. Boom!
Sweet.
Look at that! Look at that! Look at that with
How
the timing
cool
right there. Like that is timing for weight. You know what I mean? Like look how fast it moves. Gosh.
And the crazy thing is that when we were doing a little bit of a breakdown on The Witcher, which you guys, if you want to check that out as well, you get to appreciate it way more when you're actually going frame by frame. Because Nick wasn't super taken with the visual effects on The Witcher, but when you look and stop and just look at some of the matte paintings and the set pieces, you're like, wow, that's really beautiful. And here, the same thing. You really get to appreciate the animation and everything that goes into it. Because this fight scene goes by pretty quick, but if you're breaking it down like this, it's just amazing. Really, really cool stuff. Get your mouse pointer off the screen, man. What are you doing here?
Sorry, I was gonna draw something.
Okay.
I think this is probably a set, right? Yeah, this is probably all a set.
Yeah, I'd imagine
And
so.
then they have a moving camera, and then they put the characters in there. Man, the lighting's so beautiful, isn't it?
So do you think the camera moves, do you think they planned out the camera moves, or do you think they did it over, like kind of shot at a higher resolution than post moves? I mean, do you have any guesses on that, or what do you think?
Well, if they choreographed it, they might have had two guys fighting, and they were moving the cameras around.
Oh, that's true. Yeah.
And then they just put the bears over them, or vice versa. You know, I mean, like, there's a lot of removal happening. I think I also heard a lot of the shots with the actors, they ended up so they would shoot one scene with the puppet, and then they would do like two without or something like that, or they would have some kind of balance, and then most of the time they would end up using the scenes with the puppets because the actors interacted better with the character. So what they had to do,
so kind of the same thing as Golem, right?
Yeah, but so what they would have to do then is get a clean mat from the shot without the puppeteer.
That's so hard. That's so hard. So the only thing I can think of that might have made that easier on them, if they used a motion control camera, if they figured out the blocking for the shot and how they wanted it to move, if they could repeat that, then they could probably more easily get their clean plate, but you still have shadow interaction and things like that. So that would make it a lot easier though, but I don't know if they could do that or not. I'm not sure.
That technology was around since Star Wars days.
But I'm just saying, I don't know if they actually utilized it here. They certainly could have.
Clean plates and stuff like that.
3D tracking, clean plates. Yeah.
I mean, this one's mostly CG characters anyways, so.
Yeah.
Man, look at that. Like the weight.
But it's on a live action set.
Let's just watch the weight. I'm just going to hit play. Let's just that's so intense. Oh my gosh.
That's awesome.
Man.
And it's funny because when I kind of mentioned this a little bit earlier, but when you're watching it real time, this fight kind of goes by real fast. You've been leading up basically the whole season to this fight, and then it's over pretty quick. But when you look at the shots, you're like, oh my gosh, there's so much work here.
Yeah, so much work. Beautiful job, guys. They did such a good job.
And there's not a single shot that looks out of place. A lot of times when there's a lot of visual effects shots, which obviously there's a lot of visual effects shots in this series, there's some shots that you just kind of look at like, oh, they ran out of time on that one, or that one looks kind of out of place. Like really in this series,
her lighting is so dark on her face compared to the bear. I feel like.
Is she being shadowed by the bear, or not sure. Well, we don't see. Let's see. We don't see that other side of
the bear.
because he's dark on that side. So yeah, it makes sense.
Okay.
And the motion blur, and obviously I don't know for sure, but a lot of times in movies they do motion vectors, which is kind of faked motion blur. It's not faked motion blur, but it's a faster to render motion blur. But here the motion blur looks so natural that I'm wondering if they actually it could be motion vector.
No,
or if they actually rendered it with
It's rendered with motion blur. Heck yeah. They have money for it. It's HBO and
that's true.
BBC. Man, I don't even want to know how many muscles the animators had to animate on this rig.
Yeah, I mean, just the face performances for all the animals and all the musculature and the fur simulations, and hair simulations, nothing looked off. And honestly, that's a big credit to the effort they went to in this movie. But also, when you look back at the Golden Compass movie that came out a long, long time ago, I think, if I remember correctly, and I haven't seen it in many years, I think that holds up well too. So, because Rhythm Hughes at that time really was at the height of their game as far as doing creatures, and that's really what they are known for. And so I think the Golden Compass probably holds up as well as this does, but there's just more, and of course the story, they have more time to delve into it here. But just look at how beautiful that shot is. Just that little rim light on the back of the bear.
The framing right there, how the bear's here, and how she's right here. That's like such beautiful framing.
And it's cool because the arc of the back and then down to the nose is leading you towards the girl. It's and perfect. The arc of the tunnel, everything's leading you and guiding your eye towards the girl from the bear. Your eye starts on the bear, and then the arc of the back and the nose and the tunnel and everything. Yeah, it brings you right back in. It's kind of like an intimate moment. Yeah, it's just beautiful. Yeah.
Beautiful design.
I mean, and the coolest thing about all these things is these could all be like paintings. This could be a painting on the wall that just has perfect composition and everything like that. Just beautiful, beautiful stuff.
Yeah, look how it's centered perfectly in the door. Yeah, no, it's beautiful.
Mhm.
Man, to even paint like blood like that, you know what I mean? Like on the characters. Just
It guides
beautiful.
you in. Yeah, yeah, yeah. So I know we're going to take a look at some making ofs right here in a second, but just out of curiosity, before you watch the making ofs, was there anything that surprised you on how they approached things and how they did things, or did it all make sense?
Oh,
Was
it's
there
all-
anything new that you wouldn't have thought of?
It all made sense. One thing that I thought was really cool is that they just did a fight sequence right here. First, you know, they were doing like a physical version of the fight.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah. And then, you know, then they block it. That's like total blocking right there. Look at the legs.
Yeah.
And it's interesting too, because look at, originally I guess they were going to have armor on the bear. And they
Oh, they
decided to
didn't.
go
That's
without
right. They
armor.
dropped their armor off before the fight, right?
Yeah.
Is that what they did?
And they probably did that just so they can have like a cleaner or a sexier jiggle effect.
An effect
just
or
show
jiggle
off.
effects. Is
Just
that
to-
what you, wait. Let's just stop for a moment and forget about the effects. Did you say an effectsier jiggle effect? Is that what you said?
Dude, it looks so good.
An effectsier jiggle effect. That should be a shirt right there for AsArt.
Yeah.
Check out the effectsy jiggle effect.
There you go. I love that. Look at
Look
that.
at how cool is
Look
that?
at
I
how
mean,
cool is this? Look at, they go from bones to the muscles. Oh, the AO pass. Nice. I love AOs, dude.
Mm-mm.
They're like my
I
favorite
know
things to
it
render.
adds so much to it. Yeah. But the crazy thing is the breakdowns
Man, the
really
fur.
don't do credit to it because all those things are so many people involved to do that. That's not like one person sitting down
way.
doing all. That's departments and departments and departments. Just amazing stuff.
See, look at that. Let's just look at the jiggle for a second. See how much like the jiggle adds with like the
It
fur?
does that all. Let's look at the jiggle. So one of my favorite things about making is go back to the woman talking. So in the make like either one of them is fine. So when you look at these making ofs, this is after the fact when they're all rested. Like when they were actually doing this work, they probably looked like they were like 2 steps from death, you know, like crunch time, trying to get everything done. That's one of my favorite things in the Return of the King making of. They showed them actually working when they were still working on Return of the King.
Oh yeah, they are so
And
stressed.
they look like completely different people versus when it was done and they were doing the rest of the interviews. So those poor people probably put in so many hours getting this done. But man, what something to be proud of because this has turned out wonderfully.
And then there's also this one too.
And I loved, this was one of my favorite characters in the Golden Compass movie. And here it looks just as great. Oh, wow. And so they had the puppet down there.
See, and then they would remove it.
Man, that's rough. I mean,
Oh, let me
unless
sorry
you
about
had
that, guys.
really, really good tracking. And some of those shots, go back to that elevator shot. Was that elevator shot a static shot or does the camera move back? I know maybe we don't see it too much here.
It might move back.
Well, I was going to say because that, you know, the stone is pretty reflective. I'm curious if, well, there's probably enough in there that's not too reflective to get a good 3D track if they had to 3D track it, but pretty crazy stuff.
Oh, so that was probably green screened with her.
Yeah, and just a little add in right there.
Mhm.
Yeah.
There you go. That's the bear on set.
So yes, this is your shows and your movies without visual effects. That was it right there.
Yeah. Right there, huh? Look at the rabbit.
So did they ever use real animals for shots when they didn't need to have them talking? and
No,
things like
all
that?
the
So if you-
animals were 3D. And then in this
Interesting.
video
I would have
that
thought if
we
they
can
could
link,
have.
they said birds were the toughest because of the folding of the arms. So
Mm,
they would actually so this is cool. So like they have the puppet right here,
Uh-huh.
and then see there's the blocking, and like with the animation there's the final shot.
That's cool. I wonder if they use object tracking to match that or they just did matchmation by hand. It's very
Ooh,
interesting.
Yeah, no, I'm curious. They only give you so much in these.
Oh yeah. I mean, well, if you got into like the tedious things of it, you would lose the audience. You know, you kind of have to make it entertaining,
is a
even
cool
though you're
shot,
maybe not
too.
getting everything.
Like
oh,
right
that's
here.
really cool. Wow.
So there's a dude just like pouncing on the man, and then they replaced
And they
it with the
painted
bear.
him out. Wow.
Mhm.
Oh, I guess you could cover him up. They did do
A
a
lot
full
of it's
clean pick
covered.
for him. Did they do it full
they
back up?
probably did for that one frame. Just to
for the
make it
making
look
of?
it, just to make
Yeah.
it look freaking amazing.
But there's no reason to paint him out completely if he's going to be covered up, though. Yeah.
Yeah.
And just these are my favorites when you see the compositing breakdowns, where you see everything put together.
Yeah.
That's just where the magic
Isn't
happens.
it crazy?
For sure.
All
Mhm.
the different layers, huh?
So what was she actually riding on? Was it
A
a
dude.
mechanical rig or?
It was a dude. You see the guy?
She was on a dude. Oh wow! Because one thing that always looks kind of fake
Well,
frame
that
store,
one's just
they're
a
in
standing
London.
shot, but she probably had a mechanical
Oh, okay,
one
okay.
for the
Oh,
writing.
okay. But frame stores in London, at least their main location is their really famous visual effects house. But one of the hard things to do in shows is to have people writing on objects. I think even in The Mandalorian, if I remember correctly, some of that looked a little bit weird when they were writing on like these fake creatures. But in this movie, I don't remember it ever looking odd at all. What was that? 700 days it said? Is that
Yes,
how long it took?
it was
them, or what
700 days for the character, the bear character.
Wow, to create it or to do the shots with it?
I think 700 days to probably create the character with the muscle rigs and the fur and all that stuff.
Boy, I bet they were really banking on please have multiple seasons because we don't want to do this just for one season. Those are some great looking creatures too. That's one of the coolest things too is you go back to that turnaround when they were showing that crazy. Like you actually don't get to appreciate all the detail sometimes when they're in the actual shots because of the lighting and the mood. But when you see that like in perfect lighting, you're like, oh my gosh, look at how detailed that is. That's just insane.
Wait, was it not turning around? Oh, it's just a still image. Okay. Oh, I wanted more. That's it. They're teasing us again.
Really, really cool stuff.
There you
though.
go.
Wow.
That's a good frame. Such
Yeah,
an
really, really
interesting
cool stuff.
creature.
Yeah,
Wonder
really,
what
really
kind
cool
of
creature.
creature it
Kind of
is.
like
It's like the
it almost looks like a
weird
Nosferatu type thing, but also has really, really
small
neat
little
stuff.
body, high legs, kind of thing. Oh yeah, so like they also try to reduce the amount of animals that were in the shot, so they didn't like crowd the frames. So that's why we only see like 3 animals most of the time, in the shots and stuff like that.
Because they didn't want the scene to be too busy, or they didn't want to have
I think
to deal with all
that's
of them.
it. They just wanted it to be more story driven, not visually driven with animals
Yeah,
over the
yeah.
place. Star Wars.
Well, I remember when I
Final
was at
battle from
Rhythm and
Star Wars.
Hughes, Star Wars. When I was at Rhythm and Hughes, I was talking to the guy that was the main visual effects supervisor for the Golden Compass, and they had already basically finished most of the show by the time I was there for Alvin and the Chipmunks. But I was asking him because when they had this kind of funky type of warping that was on the animals when they were changing shapes and when they were just walking around, and it was really, really subtle. And I asked him, I said, boy, that's really, really subtle. Was there a reason behind that? He goes, yeah. He goes, we did a lot of test runs and we decided that if we had it too much in the face, it actually distracted from the story. And I actually said to him, I was like, oh, that's such the right choice to do, because you don't want the effects to get in the way. So it's cool that even though they had these animals that they can show them off, they chose to have them be in the background in certain cases to just not detract from the story. So really, really cool stuff, you guys. So I hadn't seen these making ofs. Nick had seen these. Sometimes when we do these videos, we're going to go in blind, not knowing. It's fun to try and guess and try and break it down based on maybe what we know, but sometimes we're going to get it wrong. The first Witcher breakdown we did, we definitely got some stuff wrong. We had some people correct us. That's the fun of it though, is being able to look at shots and try to break it down. And here it's kind of fun to look through the shots and appreciate on a frame by frame basis, and then also look at the making ofs and see how they actually did it. So hopefully it's fun for you as it is for us. We'll try and link all these videos so you can go and look at their handiwork and be able to appreciate this all instead of going frame by frame, seeing the whole thing. Thank you very much for watching. We're going to have more of this type of stuff coming, all different aspects of art and media and everything like that. So go ahead and head over to asart.space. You can find the audio podcast on Spotify and iTunes. The links are there. And also we have the YouTube channel. And we'll see you on the next AsArt.